Hi everybody and welcome to the news from the ANU Medical School from today, the 12th of June 2020. As announced earlier during the week, I'd like to welcome our new Acting Deputy Director for the Medical School, Professor Kevin Saliba, to his new role. Kevin is the head of a division in the Research School of Biology. Most of you would know him from his teaching in Phase 1, but he's also a block chair and a year assessment chair in Phase 1. Kevin has just commenced his role and will be in this role until the end of August, and I look very much forward to working with him. What an excitement it was at the weekend to hear that not just one, but three of our academics and our staff have been receiving Queen's Honours. Professor Paul Smith, orthopaedic surgeon, received an AM. Professor Chris Phillips, whom most of you would know through Social Foundations of Medicine, but who's also an Associate Dean at the College of Health and Medicine, also receiving an AM, and Professor Walter Abayaratne, an OAM. Walter's a cardiologist and the chair of the Clinical Trials Committee. Congratulations to all of them, and we're very, very proud of you. We'd also like to welcome three new staff members to the college and particularly to the medical school. Lex van Loon and Anne Steins are research fellows in space medicine and have just commenced a few months ago and came from the Netherlands just before the borders closed. And Air Vice Marshal Tracy Smart, AO, is a professor in the practice of military and aerospace medicine. So let's get to last week's quiz. It was pretty easy this week. The person that you were asked to identify is, of course, Jana Pittman. Who is she? She's an Australian athlete, a two-time world champion and Commonwealth champion, and an ovarian cancer ambassador. What is her contribution to the COVID pandemic, though? Well, Jana has studied medicine. She's pregnant for the fourth time, and she's working as an intern in New South Wales. The winners are here. Fastest finger was Bella McGovern, who sent me her correct answer within 5 minutes of posting this video. And the most complete answer, with some additional information, is from Kristen Richardson. Remember, the more answers I get from a person, the better. And at the end of August or so, we'll give out some prizes for the winner of all quizzes. So let's get to this week's quiz. What I want to know is, what is the name of the virus that you can see here in the background? What group does it belong to? When was this type of virus or the group of viruses first described? And what other types of this virus are there? Email me and I'll announce the winner next week. This week marks the return of our Year 4 students back to face-to-face teaching clinical skills here on Canberra Hospital campus. We have also changed the arrangements so that students are now able to use the lockers and the tea room and the common room on Calvary campus and on Canberra Hospital campus, but it is really just to drop stuff off, to warm up your food, but not to mingle or to stay in the common rooms or in the tea rooms or spend any lengthy time in the locker rooms. Also to announce that we're working on getting some feedback on teaching and learning from the students in a few months. What we are now doing is planning the teaching and learning for next year, and as some of the teaching and learning has been very successful, others didn't work so well, of course we'd like to know from the students directly what we should keep, what we need to amend a little bit, and what needs to go back to the way it was before. HDR Scholars Forum is going to be running again next week on the 18th of June, very ably led by Dr. Dana Perryman. And the good news for research is that the Canberra Hospital Research Labs are finally returning to more normalisation of work as well. And I've heard that the clinical trials will commence their face-to-face studies again this week, which is very encouraging. If you need support, of course you should, in the first instance, go and see a GP. There's some students or some of us who don't have a GP, or particularly for people who are placed rurally, it is difficult to access a GP. There is now some help available. The new Doctors for Doctors support service, which has been provided by the Doctors Health Service Limited, is a free, confidential telehealth mental health service, which anybody can access, students and doctors. There's more information on the AMA website if you're interested. The budget, as you know, needs to be amended, adjusted, and is going to be very, very tight for this year, and is going to be tight for next year as well. We now know that the College of Health and Medicine needs to save $8 million, so that's $8 million that we had planned to spend this year, that we cannot spend. For the schools, so the 4 schools that belong to the College of Health and Medicine, that means we need to look at the maximum that we can save and see whether amongst the 4 of us we can come up with these $8 million. As you can imagine, Katrina Chappell, the manager, and I have been poring over our budget for the last 2 weeks, day by day, and we have identified savings that we can definitely make, and they're mainly around staffing roles that haven't been filled or that we can delay a little bit, making savings in that way. Of course, it's around travel, but also supporting events, looking at consumables, any kind of equipment, grants, and of course, strategic investments. We are not looking at letting people go, and we want to protect the programs that we run as a school, because we have a responsibility to our students and our staff. What we will offer, though, and we will urge people to take leave. I do understand that most of you don't want to take weeks and weeks and weeks of leave, but we can actually reduce our leave balance, and that's annual leave as well as long service leave, by taking a day a week. More information will be sent out to the professional staff, but the academics as well. You're now able to take long service leave as 1 day a week, and that would all help to reduce expenses in the future for ANU. I have also been in contact with the researchers, and if you haven't responded to my email, please do so, and just asking whether there's anything in their grants or in their research pot that they had planned to spend this year, that either because of coronavirus they cannot spend, or that they can delay until next year. Please let me know, because in these days every $100 makes a difference and adds up to the sum that we can save, and that we need to save for the college and the university. And in the media, again, the medical school was well represented. Sanjaya has been on 7 News and on the Al Jazeera Media Network, Peter Collignon in the Herald Sun, the Project, 7 News and ABC Radio, and is previously announced, but again coming up in the Riot Act, is Anna Greta Hunter, who co-authored a paper on the causes of death that are not recorded as due to excessive heat, and the call to change death certificates. Events that are coming up, just to remind you, there is an after COVID, during COVID ACDC webinar running. It is about medical education. It's on June the 18th at 6 o'clock. I have sent around an email. You need to register for that. But it is of interest for every educator, but of course for the medical students as well. And just to remind you that the ANU Crawford Leadership Forum is running between the 16th and the 23rd of June. They're free webinars available with very interesting and, I'm sure, a lot of discussion-inducing topics. So that was all from me for this week. Just to remind you, stay home if you're unwell, look after yourself, look after others. Any ideas, suggestions, improvements, email me at the usual email address, and I hope you all have a great weekend. See you next week. Bye.